brought to you by Soundlibra.com. You can find a direct link to our full library in the description of this audio, or visit us anytime at Soundlibra.com. Welcome to Master Your Self-Talk. Let's uncover your constant internal conversation.
It's amazing, Alex. Before we dive in, a quick note that while we're exploring mental patterns, this is for educational purposes and isn't medical advice. Always consult a professional for your health needs. But it really is like a silent architect building our perceived reality.
Exactly. And that architect can build something shaky. Our self-talk, this internal dialogue, powerfully influences how we feel, act, and the results we achieve in life.
So before mastering it, we must become aware. How pervasive is this self-talk?
From waking up, your inner voice is active. More sleep would be nice, or what's today? It's there with every decision, every interaction. Facing a challenge, it might whisper, "You've got this," or shout, "You'll fail."
We often don't realize we're hearing it. It just feels like our thoughts. How does this inner voice get shaped?
A crucial question. Our early self-talk patterns form from childhood experiences. Think of messages from parents, teachers, peers, and early events. If often told you were clumsy, your inner voice might still carry that, even as a coordinated adult.
So, our inner voice is a compilation of past experiences and feedback, an internal diary of our self-beliefs.
Precisely. These messages get absorbed, forming beliefs about our capabilities, worthiness, and potential. Imagine learning to ride a bike. If you fall and hear, "See, you're not good at this," that message can stick. Your inner voice might remind you, making you hesitant to try again.
That makes sense. We're on autopilot with an old script playing. So for this first step, the goal is to listen. How do we unmask this silent architect?
The very first step is paying attention. Pause and ask, what am I telling myself right now? Don't judge, just notice. If you spill coffee, what's the immediate internal reaction? Clumsy me. Or, oops, spilled coffee, I'll clean it up.
That might be hard at first, like catching a shadow.
It can be, but practice makes it clearer. Set little reminders. A few times a day, pause and tune in. What's the underlying message? Critical or encouraging? Focused on past, future, or present?
So, observing thoughts without getting caught up in them. Seeing them as just thoughts, not absolute truths.
Exactly. Think of thoughts like clouds. You see them, acknowledge them, but don't cling. Your self-talk is no different. It's internal communication, and this episode is about becoming aware of that stream. What is your inner voice truly saying? A supportive friend or a harsh critic?
It's fascinating to realize how much of our internal world is shaped by this often unconscious dialogue. It's a narrative we're continuously writing about ourselves.
And that narrative directs our actions. If your inner voice says, "You're not good enough," you might avoid opportunities, not put forth your full effort, convincing yourself of the outcome. You self-sabotage with your own words.
So, this initial awareness is like turning on the light. We're seeing the architecture.
A perfect analogy. We're seeing the blueprint. This awareness is the foundation. We can't change what we don't acknowledge. For the coming days, try to catch those internal whispers and shouts. What are you saying to yourself when alone, facing a challenge, or doing everyday tasks?
It's less about specific words and more about understanding the overall tone, the feeling. Is it generally positive, negative, or neutral?
Yes, the general tone is a great starting point. Are you your biggest cheerleader or your harshest critic? Remember, self-talk isn't always logical. It's often emotional and deeply ingrained. Our goal isn't to eradicate it, but to understand and then consciously influence it.
To recap, the key takeaway is we all have an inner voice, constant self-talk. This voice is a silent architect, shaping our perceptions, beliefs, and actions, often unnoticed. It's largely formed by our past.
And the critical first step to mastering this is becoming aware. To listen, to ask, What is my inner voice genuinely saying? Practice observing thoughts without judgment and get a sense of your internal dialogue's tone.
It's like getting to know an invisible friend or foe.
It really is. This understanding lays the groundwork. We'll delve into the darker corners, learning to recognize negative patterns.
Thank you for joining us on this first step of Master Your Self-Talk. We're excited to continue this journey.
Next episode, the shadow side, recognizing negative patterns. Welcome back to Master Your Self-Talk. Last time, we explored the silent architect within us, the incredible power of our own inner voice. We learned to become aware of the constant conversation happening in our minds.
And it's fascinating, Alex, how much we don't realize is going on inside until we actually pay attention. It's like suddenly noticing the hum of the refrigerator after years of it being background noise.
Exactly, Lisa. And that awareness is the crucial first step. Today, we're going to shine a spotlight on the shadow side of that inner voice. We're diving into the common patterns of negative self-talk that can really sabotage our confidence and our progress.
The shadow side, the sneaky saboteurs. I like that. So, what are these common patterns we should be looking out for?
Well, let's start with one of the most common, catastrophizing. Have you ever had something small go wrong, and your mind immediately jumps to the absolute worst-case scenario?
Oh, absolutely. Like, I misplaced my keys for 5 minutes, and suddenly I'm imagining being late for a crucial meeting, getting fired, and then living on the streets. It escalates so quickly.
That's pure catastrophizing. It's when you imagine a minor setback as a full-blown disaster. It's like taking a tiny crack in the pavement and declaring the entire road is about to collapse. Our minds can be very dramatic. We see a small problem and immediately think, this is going to be terrible.
So, instead of thinking, okay, I'm a little late, I'll call ahead, the catastrophizer thinks, this is a disaster. My life is over.
Precisely. And this pattern is all about exaggerating the likelihood and the severity of negative outcomes. It's a real obstacle because it stops us from even attempting things because we're already convinced of failure.
That makes sense. It paralyzes you before you even start. What's another pattern?
Another big one is all or nothing thinking. This is also known as black and white thinking. It's when you see things in extremes with no middle ground. You're either a complete success or an utter failure.
Like, if I don't stick perfectly to my diet for one meal, I think, well, I've ruined the whole day, so I might as well eat whatever I want.
You nailed it. It's the all or nothing mentality. You achieved a goal perfectly. That's all. You made one mistake. That's nothing. Total failure. There's no room for progress, effort, or lessons learned. It's like saying if you're not a Michelin star chef, you're a terrible cook. There's no appreciation for simply being a good cook.
It's so unforgiving, isn't it? It doesn't allow for imperfection, which is, well, human.
It truly doesn't. And that leads us nicely into personalization. This is the tendency to blame yourself for things that aren't entirely your fault or even entirely within your control.
Can you give me an example?
Imagine a team project at work doesn't go as well as hoped. The person with personalization thinking might say, it's all my fault. I should have done more. Even if many other factors were involved, like unclear instructions or a colleague's mistakes, they'll internalize all the blame. They take it personally.
So they assume responsibility for things that are shared or external. It's like if your favorite sports team loses, you feel like you personally let them down.
That's a great analogy, Lisa. You're taking the event and making it a reflection of your personal worth or capability, even when it's not. It's saying, this negative event has happened, and therefore, I must be the cause and I am bad for it.
That sounds exhausting. Always feeling responsible for everything and anything that goes wrong.
It absolutely is. And it's closely related to the next pattern we'll discuss, harsh self-criticism. This is where your inner voice becomes a relentless critic, pointing out every flaw, every mistake, every perceived inadequacy. It's like having a tiny, extremely judgmental drill sergeant living in your head.
The internal bully.
Exactly. This critic doesn't just point out errors, it amplifies them. It tells you you're stupid for forgetting something, rather than just acknowledging, oops, I forgot, I'll remember next time. This self-criticism can be incredibly damaging to our self-esteem. We're our own harshest judges, often tougher than anyone else could ever be.
It's like we internalize negative feedback and then amplify it ourselves. We get a neutral comment and turn it into a vicious personal attack.
Precisely. And these patterns, catastrophizing, all or nothing thinking, personalization, and harsh self-criticism, they often work together, creating a cycle of negativity. For example, you might catastrophize a small mistake, then engage in all or nothing thinking, blaming yourself personally with harsh self-criticism. It's a compounding effect.
So, to recap for our listeners, we're looking out for when our minds jump to worst case scenarios. That's catastrophizing. We're watching for seeing things only as total successes or complete failures. That's all or nothing thinking. We're noticing when we take personal blame for things outside our control. That's personalization. And we're identifying when we are relentlessly hard on ourselves. That's harsh self-criticism. These are the sneaky ways our inner voice can try to bring us down.
You've got it, Lisa. These are the common distortions in our thinking. They're not reflections of reality, but rather habits of mind that have developed over time. And the good news is, because they are habits, they can be unlearned and replaced with more helpful ones.
It's empowering to know that. So, by recognizing these patterns, we're essentially identifying the negative moods our self-talk can fall into.
Exactly. Just like understanding the common types of clouds helps a meteorologist predict the weather, understanding these thought patterns helps us predict and manage our own mental climate. We're learning to see the tricks our minds play on us. We've learned to hear our inner voice, and now we're learning to identify its negative whispers for what they are, just thoughts, not facts.
And understanding them is the first step to changing them. It's like turning on the light in a dark room. You can finally see what's there.
And in our next episode, we're going to take that light and learn how to be a compassionate listener to ourselves. We'll start befriending that inner critic rather than letting it run roughshod over us.
Wonderful. So, for today, we've covered some of the most common negative self-talk patterns: catastrophizing, all or nothing thinking, personalization, and harsh self-criticism. Be aware of these in your own thoughts this week.
Next episode, the compassionate listener, befriending your inner critic. Welcome back to Master Your Self-Talk. We began unmasking the power of your inner voice. Last time, we delved into recognizing negative patterns. Today, we're taking a compassionate step forward.
Recognizing negative patterns is crucial, but can feel bleak. Episode 3, The Compassionate Listener, Befriending Your Inner Critic, sounds like a needed shift.
Absolutely. We often treat our inner critic like an adversary, a judge. We try to ignore it, argue with it, but it often gets louder. What if, instead of fighting it, we tried a different approach?
A different approach? It feels so ingrained.
Imagine this. What if that critical voice isn't trying to hurt you? What if, in its own misguided way, it's trying to protect you? When does that harsh inner voice usually show up?
Usually when I'm about to try something new, or when I've made a mistake, or when I feel I might fail.
Exactly. It pops up when you're feeling vulnerable or on the verge of taking a risk. From its perspective, it might see these situations as dangerous. It might be thinking, don't do that. You'll mess it up. It's like an alarm system that's gone a bit haywire.
So it's trying to keep me safe from pain, but its methods are not very effective, like an overprotective parent.
That's a fantastic analogy. It's that overprotective impulse. The critic's intention might be to prevent embarrassment, failure, or rejection. It's a habit rooted in a desire for well-being, however poorly expressed.
Okay, I can start to see that. Instead of shut up, you mean voice. We can try to understand its intention. That's a huge mental shift.
It is, but it's incredibly powerful. The first step is to become a compassionate listener. Acknowledge the voice without believing its message. You listen. You understand they're scared, but you don't necessarily agree with the specific worries.
So, how do we practically do that? Do we say, thank you for your concern, inner critic? That feels awkward.
It can feel awkward at first, but that's the essence. You can rephrase it for yourself. Okay, I hear that thought. It sounds like my inner critic is worried about X. Just naming it and acknowledging its presence can diffuse its power. You're not fighting it, you're observing it.
Observing it. That's important. It stops us from getting caught up in believing the negative pronouncements.
Precisely. And when you acknowledge it, you can then gently introduce a more balanced perspective. Instead of accepting the critic's harsh judgment, you can offer yourself kindness and understanding. This is where self-compassion comes in.
Self compassion. That sounds like treating yourself like you would treat a friend who is struggling.
Exactly. Think about a time a dear friend came to you upset. Would you tell them, "You're so stupid for making that mistake"? Of course not. You'd offer words of comfort, understanding, and encouragement. You'd remind them of their strengths and that everyone falters sometimes.
Yes, I would definitely be kinder to a friend than I often am to myself.
And that's the key insight. We often hold ourselves to a much higher, more critical standard than we would ever apply to someone we care about. Self-compassion means extending that same kindness and empathy inward. So, when your inner critic pipes up with "you're such a failure," self-compassion would respond with something like, "It's okay to make mistakes. I'm learning, and this is a normal part of the process. I'll learn from this and move forward."
That sounds like a much healthier internal dialogue. It's like going from a drill sergeant to a supportive coach.
That's a perfect way to put it. The drill sergeant is all about punishment and fear, while the coach is about growth, support, and nurturing potential. Befriending your inner critic isn't about pretending those critical thoughts don't exist. It's about changing your relationship with those thoughts. It's about recognizing the underlying, often benevolent, intention and responding with kindness instead of fear or self-recrimination.
So, to recap, first, we acknowledge the presence of the inner critic. We don't dismiss it, but we also don't immediately accept its harsh words as truth. We recognize that its intention might be protection, even if its method is flawed.
Yes, that's the first step. Listening with curiosity, not judgment. And then the second part is offering yourself the same understanding and kindness you would offer a dear friend. This is self-compassion in action.
This shifts the power dynamic. Instead of being a victim of our own negative self talk, we become the gentle, understanding observer and supporter.
Precisely. And this practice isn't about instant perfection. It's a skill that you develop over time. The more you practice listening compassionately and responding with kindness, the less power that harsh inner critic will have. It's like training a puppy. With consistent, gentle guidance, it learns.
That's a comforting thought, that it's a process. So, we're not aiming to eliminate the inner critic entirely, but to transform our relationship with it.
Exactly. Think of it as having a conversation with that part of yourself that's trying to keep you safe, but is using outdated tactics. You're not trying to silence it. You're trying to help it update its operating system to something more effective and kinder.
This really resonates. I think many of us struggle with self criticism because we feel like we should be harder on ourselves to improve. But this approach suggests the opposite might be true. Kindness and understanding are the real drivers of growth.
Absolutely. When we feel safe and supported internally, we're more willing to take risks, learn from mistakes, and try again. Harsh criticism breeds fear and withdrawal. Compassion breeds courage and resilience.
So, the core takeaway from today's episode is that our inner critic often comes from a place of wanting to protect us, and the most effective way to deal with it is not to fight it, but to listen with compassion and respond with self-kindness, just as we would for a friend in need.
That's a beautiful summary. Lisa, this compassionate listening is the foundation for everything that comes next. In our next episode, we'll take those insights and learn how to actively reframe those negative thoughts into more constructive and empowering ones through the art of reframing.
Sounds like a perfect progression. Join us next time as we learn to turn those can't thoughts into can possibilities.
Thanks for listening. Welcome back. Last time we covered befriending your inner critic. Now, let's tackle the art of reframing.
That's right, Alex. We understood that this inner voice, even when it's harsh, often comes from a place of trying to protect us, albeit in a misguided way. And by responding with kindness, we can start to soften its grip.
Exactly. And today, we're taking that compassionate understanding and making it active. We're moving from just listening to our thoughts to actively transforming them. This episode is all about the art of reframing, turning those familiar can't statements into empowering can possibilities.
I love this. It feels like the real work where we start to rewrite our internal script in a way that actually serves us. So, Alex, how do we begin this art of reframing?
The first step, and it's crucial, is to become aware of the automatic negative thoughts, or ANTS, as some call them. These are those quick, often unexamined thoughts that pop into our heads, especially when we're facing a challenge. Things like, I'm not good enough for this, or this is too difficult. Remember those from our earlier episodes?
Oh, absolutely. Those are the ones that just appear without us even trying. It's like a reflex.
Precisely. And the power of reframing comes from pausing that automatic response. Instead of just accepting the ANT as truth, we acknowledge it. We can say to ourselves, okay, I'm having the thought that this is too difficult. Just saying it out loud, or even in our heads, creates a little bit of space.
So, it's not about suppressing the thought, but about noticing it. That sounds much more manageable than trying to wrestle it into submission.
Exactly. It's like observing a cloud passing by rather than trying to grab it. Once we've acknowledged the ANT, the next step is to challenge it. We ask ourselves, is this thought really true? Is it 100% accurate all the time?
This is where it gets interesting. Often, when we really look, we realize our negative thoughts are often exaggerations or generalizations.
They absolutely are. Think about a time you thought, I'll never be able to do this, and then you actually did it. Or maybe you didn't do it perfectly, but you made progress. That demonstrates that the initial thought wasn't the whole story. Was it?
No, it certainly wasn't. I remember wanting to learn a new skill for a project, and my first thought was, I'm not creative enough for this. But I pushed through, experimented, and even though it wasn't perfect, I ended up with something I was proud of.
That's a perfect example of reframing in action. You challenge the limiting thought, I'm not creative enough, and by doing so, you open the door to trying. The next step in reframing is to replace that ANT with a more balanced, realistic, and empowering alternative.
So, instead of I'm not creative enough, what would be a good reframe?
A good reframe could be, this is a new skill, and it will take practice and learning. I will focus on the process and see what I can create. Or perhaps, I might not be an expert yet, but I can learn and experiment, and that's a form of creativity in itself. Do you see how those shift the focus from a fixed deficit to a growth mindset?
Yes, it moves from a dead end to a pathway. It's not about denying the challenge, but about acknowledging it and focusing on what's possible.
Precisely. This process is essentially teaching your brain to look for evidence that contradicts the negative thought. Our brains are powerful pattern seekers, and if we consistently feed them negative data, they'll find more of it. When we actively reframe, we're guiding them to seek out positive or neutral information.
This makes so much sense. It's like we're retraining our internal filter. So, to recap so far, we notice the automatic negative thought, we challenge its absolute truth, and then we replace it with a more balanced and empowering statement.
You've got it, Lisa. Now, let's introduce a powerful technique to help with this, the ABC model. This is a way to structure our reframing practice.
ABC, I'm ready to learn.
So, A stands for activating event. This is the situation that triggers the thought. It could be receiving constructive criticism, facing a difficult task, or even a seemingly insignificant event.
Okay, so that's the spark that ignites the thought process.
Next is B for beliefs. These are the thoughts and interpretations we have about the activating event. This is where our ANTS often live. So, the criticism triggers the belief, I'm not good enough.
Right? The internal dialogue that starts buzzing.
And C stand for consequences. These are the emotional and behavioral outcomes that stem from our beliefs. If you believe, I'm not good enough, the consequence might be feeling discouraged, avoiding the task, or performing poorly.
So, the event leads to a belief, which then leads to our feelings and actions. It's a clear chain reaction.
Exactly. And the magic of reframing happens when we intervene at step B, our beliefs, to change the consequences. Instead of letting the ante dictate our response, we consciously examine and shift our beliefs.
So, if the activating event is receiving criticism, and my initial belief is they think I'm terrible and I'll never improve, the consequence might be feeling anxious and defensive. How would we reframe that using ABC?
Great question. For that activating event, receiving criticism, your initial belief is they think I'm terrible and I'll never improve. That's your ante. Now we challenge it. Is it true they think I'm terrible? Or are they offering specific feedback? Will I never improve? Or is this a chance to learn?
Ah, I see. So the reframe for belief could be this feedback is an opportunity to learn and grow. I can take what's helpful and apply it.
Perfect reframe. And what are the consequences of that new belief?
The consequences now would be feeling motivated, open to learning, and more likely to actually use the feedback constructively. It's a completely different outcome.
And that's the power of reframing. It's not about ignoring reality, but about choosing a more empowering interpretation of reality. Another helpful technique is asking yourself, what's another way to look at this? Or what will I tell a friend in this situation?
That's a fantastic one. We're often much kinder and more rational with our friends than we are with ourselves.
We really are. So let's practice. Imagine you have a big presentation coming up, and a thought pops in, I'm going to mess this up. Everyone will see how nervous I am. What's your initial reaction?
My immediate reaction is a knot in my stomach and the thought, oh no, this is going to be a disaster.
Okay, now let's challenge that. Is it 100% certain you'll mess it up? Will everyone see your nervousness? Or might they be focused on the content? Is nervousness necessarily a bad thing? Or is it a sign you care about doing well?
Well, I'm prepared, I know the material. Maybe a little nervousness just means I'm engaged. And I can use that energy. So, a reframe could be, I've prepared well for this. A little nervousness is normal and shows I care. I can channel this energy to deliver a strong presentation and focus on sharing my message.
Beautifully reframed. You've turned a prediction of failure into a plan for success, acknowledging your preparation and the normal human experience of nerves. You've gone from, I'm going to mess this up, to, I can deliver a strong presentation.
This feels so empowering, Alex. It really is about taking control of our internal narrative rather than being a passenger in it.
It is. And like any skill, reframing gets easier and more automatic with practice. The more you consciously challenge and replace your negative thoughts, the more your brain will start to do it on its own. You're essentially building a new neural pathway for more positive and constructive thinking.
So, to sum up this episode, we've learned that reframing is about actively transforming our thoughts. We start by becoming aware of our automatic negative thoughts, or YNTS. Then we challenge whether these thoughts are truly accurate and universally true. Finally, we replace them with more balanced, realistic, and empowering alternatives, often using the ABC model to understand how events, beliefs, and consequences are linked.
Exactly. It's about shifting your perspective from limitations to possibilities. And that's a game changer for your self-talk and ultimately for your life.
This has been incredibly practical, Alex. I'm excited to start applying these techniques right away.
Me too. And next time, we'll explore the power of why, finding your motivational core.
Sounds fascinating. We'll see you then.
Welcome back. Today, let's find your motivational core.
That's right, Alex. Last time, we explored reframing thoughts. Now we'll uncover the powerful reasons why we want to make those changes. It's about finding that deeply personal, intrinsic drive.
Exactly, Lisa. Think of it this way. If reframing is your car's engine, your why is the fuel. Without fuel, the engine can't go anywhere. Our why gives us the energy and resilience to keep going when negative self-talk tries to creep back in.
So, for listeners asking, what is my why? Can you break that down? Is it just about goals?
It's more than just goals. Your why is your core motivation, your deepest values, the beliefs that truly drive your actions. It's the fundamental reason you want something. For example, someone might want to get fit to lose weight. That's a goal. But their why might be to have the energy to play with their grandchildren or to feel confident and capable. See the difference? The why is more profound.
Ah, I get it. It's the underlying emotion, the feeling you're striving for, rather than just the external outcome. So, how do we uncover this personal why? It feels like it could be a bit hidden.
It often is. That's why we need to actively search. One effective way is through a technique called asking why 5 times. It's inspired by root cause analysis, but we're applying it to our own motivations.
Why 5 times? That sounds simple, almost too simple.
That's the beauty of it. Let's take an example. Imagine someone says, I want to start a new business. First, why? Why do you want to start a new business? Maybe the answer is, because I want to be my own boss. Okay, second, why? Why do you want to be your own boss? Perhaps the response is, because I don't like taking orders from others. Now, third, why? Why don't you like taking orders from others? The answer might be, because I feel like my ideas are overlooked. Fourth, why? Why do you feel like your ideas are overlooked? This could lead to, because in my current job, I don't have the authority to implement them. And finally, fifth, why? Why is it important for you to implement your ideas? This might reveal, because I believe my ideas can make a real difference, and I want to contribute something meaningful.
Wow. So, the initial goal of starting a business evolved into a much deeper desire to make a meaningful contribution. That's a powerful shift.
Precisely. That desire to make a meaningful contribution is a much stronger, more intrinsic motivator than simply being my own boss. When you face challenges in starting your business, and you will face challenges, remembering that deep-seated why will be your anchor. It's what will stop your negative self-talk from convincing you to give up.
So, the process is to take a goal or desire and keep asking why behind each answer until you reach a core value or belief. And the more personal and deeply felt these answers are, the more powerful the why becomes.
Exactly. And it's not just about big life changes. You can use this for smaller goals too. Let's say you want to exercise more. Why do you want to exercise more? To get healthier. Why do you want to get healthier? To avoid getting sick. Why do you want to avoid getting sick? Because I don't want to miss out on important life events. Why don't you want to miss out on important life events? Because those are the moments that truly matter. Why do those moments matter? Because life is short, and I want to experience as much richness as possible.
That's beautiful. It shifts the focus from a chore, exercising, to a profound appreciation for life and its experiences. That feels much more sustainable.
And that's the key, Lisa. Our why is the engine that fuels our positive self-talk and our persistent action. It's the intrinsic motivation that drives us forward when external validation or simple willpower isn't enough. When you know your why, your inner voice can change from "I have to do this" to "I get to do this" because it aligns with what's most important to me.
It sounds like this process of uncovering your why can also help you identify what's not important to you anymore. If your why reveals a core value that conflicts with a current goal, it might be a sign to reevaluate.
Absolutely. Our why acts as a compass. It guides us towards what truly aligns with our deepest selves and away from what doesn't. It's like having an internal GPS that ensures you're heading in the right direction for you.
To recap for our listeners, we've talked about how our why is our core motivation, the deep seated reason behind our desires. We learned a practical method of asking why 5 times to uncover this deeper purpose, moving from surface level goals to core values. And we understand that this powerful why acts as fuel for our positive self talk, helping us to persevere and stay aligned with what truly matters.
You've summarized it perfectly, Lisa. Finding your why is about connecting with your intrinsic drivers. It's about understanding what lights you up from the inside and using that energy to power your positive self-talk and your actions. When you know your why, your inner dialogue becomes a supporter, not a saboteur. It reminds you of the value and meaning behind your efforts, especially when the going gets tough.
It really is about tapping into that intrinsic motivation. It makes the journey of self improvement and goal achievement feel less like a struggle and more like a purposeful pursuit.
Exactly. So, we encourage everyone to spend some time this week exploring their why. Pick a goal, any goal, and start asking yourself why. You might be surprised at what you discover. This foundational understanding of your motivations is crucial as we move forward.
Next episode, building your confidence blueprint, small wins, big impact. Thanks for listening.
Welcome back to Master Your Self-Talk. Last time, we explored the power of why and how understanding core motivations fuels positive change. Today, we're focusing on building genuine confidence. Get ready to learn about building your confidence blueprint and how small wins lead to big impacts.
That sounds fantastic, Alex. We've talked about identifying our inner voice, softening the critical one, and reframing negative thoughts. But sometimes it feels like we're just talking the talk, not walking the walk, right? Building true confidence can feel like a daunting climb.
Exactly, Lisa. And that's where the blueprint comes in. True confidence isn't usually sudden. It's constructed win by win. We'll discuss the power of small victories, how to acknowledge them, and how to use them to counteract persistent negative messages.
So, instead of waiting for a massive success, we're going to learn to appreciate smaller moments. That feels much more approachable.
Precisely. Your mind is incredibly attuned to patterns. If your dominant pattern has been focusing on what's wrong, on what you haven't achieved, or on perceived flaws, that's the pattern it reinforces. Our goal is to intentionally create a new pattern of recognizing and valuing your progress.
And how do we start creating this new pattern? Where do we find these small wins? Sometimes my day feels like a series of tasks with no real wins.
Let's reframe what a win can be. It's not always about achieving a huge goal. A win can be as simple as choosing to act despite feeling anxious. For example, Maybe you reached out to a friend you haven't spoken to in a while, even though you were worried about what to say. That's a win. Or perhaps you managed to drink an extra glass of water today. That's a win.
Oh, I see. So it's about small, intentional actions that align with what we want, rather than waiting for external validation or a grand outcome.
That's a wonderful way to put it, Lisa. It's about aligning your actions with your aspirations, no matter how small the action might seem. And the key is conscious acknowledgement. We need to deliberately notice these instances. So, the first step in building your confidence blueprint is to start actively spotting your small wins. This means paying attention throughout your day. Ask yourself, what did I do today, however minor, that I can be proud of? It could be completing a challenging task at work, making a healthy food choice, or even just setting a boundary.
And once we spot them, what's the next step? Do we just give ourselves a mental pat on the back?
While a mental pat on the back is a start, we need to go further to truly build that blueprint. We need to reinforce these wins. A powerful way to do this is through journaling. Remember how we talked about observing your self-talk? Well, journaling your wins is a tangible way to document your progress and actively reprogram your mind.
So, we write down our small wins? What should that look like?
When you journal, you can simply write down the action you took and why it felt like a win. For example, today, I finally started that difficult report for work. It felt overwhelming, but I sat down for 30 minutes and got the introduction done. I feel proud of myself for not procrastinating further. By writing it down, you're giving it more weight. You're creating a record, a testament to your capability and resilience. And over time, you'll have a growing collection of these victories, a physical manifestation of your growing confidence.
That makes so much sense. It's like building evidence against the negative self-talk. Instead of a vague feeling of inadequacy, you have concrete examples of when you did succeed, when you did take action.
Exactly. And this leads to our next key element, reinforcing these wins with positive self-talk. When you notice a win, instead of brushing it aside, consciously tell yourself something supportive. For instance, after journaling about starting that report, you might add, see, when I take that first step, it's not as bad as I thought. I'm capable of tackling big tasks. This combination of action, acknowledgement, and affirmation creates a powerful loop that strengthens your belief in yourself. It counters the I can't or I'm not good enough voices with a consistent message of I can, I did, and I am capable.
So, it's about creating a positive feedback system. The small win triggers the acknowledgement fuels the positive self-talk, and the positive self-talk makes you more likely to take another small win.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. You're essentially building a confidence blueprint, a unique map of your strengths and accomplishments. This blueprint serves as a constant reminder of your inherent worth and your ability to navigate challenges. When doubt creeps in, you can refer back to your documented wins, to that growing collection of evidence that contradicts the negative narrative.
I can see how this would be so powerful, especially for those of us who tend to be our own harshest critics. It shifts the focus from our perceived failures to our proven successes, no matter how small they might seem on the surface.
And the beauty of this approach is its scalability. As you get more comfortable spotting and reinforcing small wins, you'll find yourself taking on bigger challenges. Each small win builds the momentum and the self-belief needed for the next, slightly larger step. It's a gradual, sustainable path to genuine, lasting confidence.
So, to recap for our listeners, building confidence is about creating a blueprint of your strengths, starting with small, intentional actions. We need to actively spot these small wins throughout our day, no matter how insignificant they might seem. Then we document these wins, perhaps through journaling, which creates tangible evidence of our progress. Finally, we reinforce these moments with positive self-talk, creating a powerful feedback loop that strengthens our belief in ourselves and counters negative narratives.
That's exactly right, Lisa. It's about shifting your internal dialogue from one of criticism and doubt to one of recognition and encouragement. Your mind is constantly building patterns, Let's make sure we're building a pattern of self-belief, one small win at a time. Next episode, we'll delve deeper into how to document this journey with journaling. Welcome back. Last time, we explored building confidence through small wins. Now, let's document your dialogue to gain mastery.
Journaling can be incredibly powerful. For those unsure where to start, what's the first step?
See your journal as a safe haven, a private space for your inner voice to be heard and understood without judgment. It's a mirror reflecting your thoughts.
So, it's a place to simply record your thoughts, no need for perfection?
Exactly. Just write down whatever pops into your mind. If you're frustrated or doubting yourself, capture it. The act of writing helps you become aware of your self-talk patterns, just like we discussed before.
I'm creating a transcript of my internal conversations. That's a great way to notice automatic thoughts.
Precisely. Once comfortable, start analyzing. What themes emerge? Are there recurring negative phrases like, I'm not good enough? Journaling provides the evidence to reframe these.
Documenting is crucial. It's not just getting it out, it's getting it down to look at objectively.
Indeed, beyond free writing, prompts can enhance your practice. They guide your reflection and help you dig deeper.
Prompts like conversation starters for your inner self?
Yes, try asking, what triggered a negative thought today? What was the thought, and how did it feel? What would a kinder voice say? This pushes you toward positive alternatives.
That makes reframing practical. You're not just writing the problem, you're starting the solution.
You are. Another prompt. What small success did I have today, and what self-talk supported or hindered it? This reminds you to acknowledge wins. We need to track challenges and triumphs.
Writing down both negative thoughts and positive self-talk gives a comprehensive picture of your internal landscape.
Absolutely. Tracking progress is a key benefit. Over time, you'll see shifts, perhaps fewer negative thoughts, or catching them earlier. This is tangible proof of your progress.
The journal becomes a record of your growth, a progress report on your inner voice.
Precisely. Consistency is more important than perfection. Even 5 minutes a day makes a difference. Think of it like tending a garden. Small, consistent actions lead to flourishing. Your inner dialogue is that garden.
That's a helpful analogy, making it feel manageable. Consistent, gentle action is key.
Experiment with formats. Some prefer structure, others free flow. Find what resonates. After a challenging interaction, journal about your self-talk. Then use a prompt to write a more positive internal dialogue.
This relates to befriending your inner critic. Seeing critical thoughts written down makes them easier to approach with understanding. You can observe them without immediate defensiveness.
Exactly. You're observing the critic, not being consumed. This observational skill is vital for our next steps. We've documented, analyzed, and reframed in your journal. Now we amplify that progress.
I'm excited for the next steps. So, journaling involves creating a safe space, recording thoughts without judgment, analyzing them, using prompts for reflection and reframing, and tracking progress to see your growth.
You've got it. Your journal is your laboratory for self-discovery. It provides a material for understanding your self-talk and evidence of your progress in mastering it. It's a powerful tool to change your inner dialogue for good.
And that documentation is the perfect foundation for what's coming next.
It absolutely is. Next episode, we will synergize this journaling practice with another powerful tool, affirmations. We'll explore how to craft your positive mantras to further transform your inner voice. Happy learning! Welcome back. Last time, we explored the powerful habit of journaling. Today, we're tackling affirmation alchemy, how to craft positive mantras that transform our inner dialogue.
Alchemy sounds mystical, Alex. But you're right. We've been recognizing our self-talk and befriending our inner critic. Journaling gives us the thoughts and feelings. Affirmations are where we actively rewrite the script.
Exactly. Our minds are constantly listening. If we feed them critical messages, that's what they'll believe. Affirmations are like giving your mind empowering, positive beliefs. They're short, powerful statements we repeat to reprogram our subconscious mind.
So it's not wishful thinking. There's a psychological process.
Absolutely. Repetition is key. When you repeatedly hear a positive statement that resonates, your brain starts to accept it as truth. It bypasses resistance. It's about gently nudging your belief system.
That makes sense. It's like laying down new neural pathways. Affirmations create new, positive paths for our thoughts.
A perfect analogy. The alchemy comes in how we craft these affirmations. A generic one might not have impact. The most powerful ones are personal, positive, and present tense.
Personal, positive, and present tense. Start with personal, our unique experience.
Precisely. It needs to feel true for you. If you fear public speaking, saying, I'm a confident public speaker, might feel like a lie. A more personal affirmation might be, I am learning to speak with growing confidence. It acknowledges the journey.
So it's about meeting yourself where you are, but pointing towards where you want to go. That feels achievable. What about positive? Any nuance?
The nuance is avoiding negative words. Our brains process the core idea, even if negated. If you say, I'm not anxious, your brain still processes anxious. A more effective affirmation would be, I am calm and at peace. Or, I embrace challenges with ease. Focus on the desired outcome.
Right. So instead of I don't procrastinate, it's I am focused and productive. That shifts focus from what we don't want to what we do want.
Exactly. And finally, present tense. This is crucial for signaling to your subconscious that this is your current reality or a reality unfolding now. Instead of I will be successful, it's I am successful or I am attracting abundance. This is where the alchemy starts. You're claiming it as your present reality.
Personal, positive, and present tense. So, if someone wants more self-compassion, an affirmation could be, I treat myself with kindness and understanding as I would a dear friend.
That's a beautiful example, Lisa. It's personal, positive, and present tense. It addresses the need for kindness. Another example for confidence. I trust my abilities and my decisions. This is active, empowering, and focused on self-belief.
So, once we've crafted our affirmations, what's the best way to use them? Just thinking them once isn't enough, is it?
Definitely not. Consistency is key. The most effective way is through regular repetition. Many find success by saying them aloud multiple times a day. First thing in the morning sets the tone. Right before sleep helps your subconscious work on them.
Saying them aloud is important. Why not just think them?
Saying them aloud engages more of your senses and physical being. It takes more intention. When you hear yourself speak the words, especially with conviction, it creates a stronger impression. Some write them down repeatedly or record themselves. It's about finding what makes the statement feel real.
Writing them down would reinforce them, connecting the physical act of writing with the positive message. It's like adding commitment.
It is. And don't be discouraged if an affirmation doesn't feel entirely true at first. That's where the alchemy is working. Your old programming is strong, but with consistent practice, the new, positive programming will take hold. It's gentle but persistent reprogramming.
So, we're not forcing it, but inviting it. What happens if you face a challenging situation and your old negative self-talk bubbles up?
That's a fantastic question. It's where our practice gets tested. When those old voices return, it's a sign they're still there, but also that you're becoming more aware of them. Instead of letting them run wild, you can pause, take a breath, and consciously bring your affirmations to mind. You might even create a specific emergency affirmation like, I am capable of handling this, or this feeling is temporary.
That's clever. A go-to affirmation for tough times. It's like having a shield of positivity.
Exactly. And remember journaling? You can use it to identify negative thoughts and craft personal affirmations to counter them. It's synergistic. You're not just passively listening, you're actively shaping.
It really feels like we're building a powerful toolkit. First, understanding our dialogue, then reframing, then journaling, and now crafting these potent affirmations. It's like upgrading our internal operating system.
That's a great way to put it, Lisa. We're moving from a system running on old code to one optimized for well-being and success. The key takeaway is that affirmations are not just nice words. They are carefully constructed tools that can fundamentally shift your self-perception and, ultimately, your life.
So, to recap, powerful affirmations are personal, positive, and present tense. We repeat them regularly, ideally out loud, and use them to counter negative self-talk. It's about consistent practice and believing in the process.
Precisely. This practice of affirmation alchemy is about sowing seeds of positive belief and nurturing them. It takes patience, but the rewards are immense.
I'm already thinking about some affirmations I want to create. It feels empowering to actively choose the messages I'm sending myself.
That's the spirit. And in our next episode, we'll tackle what happens when those old voices fight back more strongly. We'll focus on overcoming obstacles and strengthening our resolve.
Ooh, that sounds crucial. We'll need those tools.
Indeed. So, join us next time as we explore overcoming obstacles and when the old voice fights back. You won't want to miss it. Welcome back. Last time, we explored the powerful magic of affirmations and how to craft those positive mantras. Today, we're tackling something every single one of us will face. Those inevitable moments when the old, negative self-talk tries to sneak back in. We'll call this episode Overcoming Obstacles, when the old voice fights back.
That's such an important topic, Alex. It's easy to feel like you're making progress, and then bam, a bad day, a setback, or just a familiar doubt pops up, and suddenly that negative inner voice feels louder than ever. It can be really discouraging.
It absolutely can be, Lisa. And that's precisely why we need to prepare for it. Think of it like building a strong house. You don't just build it and walk away. You maintain it, and you know how to fix things if a storm hits. Our positive self-talk journey is similar. We've been building that strong inner foundation with journaling, identifying our why, and crafting affirmations. Now, we're learning to be resilient homeowners of our own minds.
So, realistically, what does it look like when that old voice fights back? Is it always obvious?
Not always obvious, no. Sometimes it's a subtle whisper, a flicker of doubt. Other times, it can feel like a full-blown argument in your head. You might notice increased self-criticism, a tendency to catastrophize, blowing small issues out of proportion, or a feeling of being stuck and unable to move forward. You might start second-guessing your competence or feel an overwhelming sense of dread.
I've definitely experienced that. It's like you're holding on to your positive beliefs, and then a situation triggers a deeply ingrained negative response. What's the first step to combating it?
The first and most crucial step is recognition. Awareness is your superpower here. When you feel that shift in your mood, that surge of negativity, pause. Ask yourself, is this my old critical voice resurfacing? Is this a familiar pattern of thought I've worked to change? Simply noticing it, without judgment, is incredibly powerful.
So, instead of getting swept away by it, we acknowledge it. Like saying, there you are again, but not in a way that welcomes it.
Exactly. It's about detaching from the thought. Remember how we talked about self-talk as a dialogue? Well, in these moments, your negative self-talk is trying to dominate the conversation again. Your job is to gently, but firmly, reclaim your role as the main narrator. So, when you recognize it, the next step is to question it.
Question it. How does that work in practice?
Let's say your old voice pipes up with, "You're going to fail this presentation. You're not prepared enough." Instead of accepting that as fact, you can ask yourself, is that really true? What evidence do I have that I will fail? What evidence do I have that I am prepared? You might recall the hours you spent practicing, the research you did, the positive feedback you received before.
Ah, so we're actively looking for counter evidence to the negative thought. It's like being a detective for your own mind.
Precisely. You're not trying to forcefully suppress the negative thought that often makes it stronger. Instead, you're deconstructing it by examining its validity. And if the evidence against it is strong, you can then reframe it. Remember episode 4? We learned the art of reframing.
Oh, yes. Turning can't into can. So, if the thought is, I'm going to fail, a reframed version could be something like, this is a challenging presentation, but I've prepared thoroughly and I'm capable of doing a good job.
That's a fantastic example, Lisa. And you can use your affirmations here too. If your old voice is telling you you're not good enough, you can consciously repeat an affirmation like, I am capable and confident. It's about consciously choosing a different, more supportive narrative.
So, to recap this strategy, recognize the negative thought, question its truthfulness, and then reframe it or use an affirmation. This sounds like a practical toolkit. What happens if the old voice is really persistent?
That's where the practice of self-compassion becomes vital. When you're struggling, it's easy to beat yourself up for struggling, but that just reinforces the negative cycle. Instead, treat yourself as you would a dear friend who is going through a tough time. Would you berate them for feeling down?
No, I'd offer comfort and encouragement.
Exactly. So, when you notice that negative self-talk, acknowledge that it's a difficult moment. You can tell yourself, this is hard right now, and it's okay to feel this way. I can get through this. This gentle acceptance can significantly reduce the power the negative thoughts hold.
I think that's a really key distinction. Not fighting against the feeling, but accepting that the feeling is there and choosing a different response. It's like not struggling in quicksand.
That's a brilliant analogy, Lisa. You grasped it perfectly. Another approach, especially when the old patterns are deeply ingrained, is to revisit your why. Remember episode 5, where we found our motivational core?
Yes, connecting with our deeper purpose.
In moments of doubt, reminding yourself of your core values and what truly drives you can provide a powerful anchor. If your negative self-talk is telling you to give up, connecting with your why can reignite your motivation and help you push through. It reminds you why this effort is important to you.
So, when the old voice says, this is too hard, just stop, you counter with, but I'm doing this because my why is important to me.
You've got it. And don't forget the power of journaling, which we explored in episode 7. When you're facing a resurgence of negative self-talk, try writing it down. Sometimes getting it out of your head and onto paper can give you a new perspective. You can analyze the thoughts more objectively, identify triggers, and even brainstorm alternative inner dialogues.
Journaling can really help externalize those internal struggles. It makes them less overwhelming. So, to sum up the strategies for when the old voice fights back, first, recognize it. Second, question its validity. Third, reframe the thought or use an affirmation. Fourth, practice self-compassion. And fifth, reconnect with your why and utilize journaling. Does that sound right?
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. These are your resilience tools. They're not about achieving perfection overnight, but about building a robust system for managing those inevitable dips. It's about developing the skill to navigate the choppy waters of your inner dialogue without capsizing. It's a sign of progress when you can spot the old voice and have strategies to respond to it.
It really is. It means you're not just passively listening to your self-talk, you're actively shaping it. It's empowering.
Absolutely. And remember, these techniques become more effective with consistent practice. The more you use them, the more automatic they become. The old voice might still whisper, but your new, stronger voice will become the one you hear most clearly.
That's a hopeful thought. We've learned so much about building positive self-talk, and now we're equipped for the challenges.
Indeed. Next episode, the ripple effect, self-talk in relationships. Welcome back to Master Your Self-Talk. Last time, we explored how to overcome those frustrating moments when your old, critical inner voice fights back. Today, we're shifting our focus outward to the ripple effect your self-talk has on the people around you.
That's such an important point, Alex. For so long, we've been looking inward, right? Working on our own internal dialogue. But it's easy to forget that our inner world doesn't exist in a vacuum. It directly influences how we interact with everyone else.
Exactly. Think of your self-talk system like a powerful engine. When it's running smoothly, fueled by positivity and self-compassion, it not only powers your own progress, but also creates a positive aura that can affect everyone nearby. Conversely, if that engine is sputtering with negativity, it radiates that frustration and doubt.
So, a more positive inner voice doesn't just make us feel better, it makes our relationships better too.
Precisely. Let's break down how this happens. One of the biggest impacts is on our communication. When you're confident and kind to yourself, you approach conversations with less defensiveness and more openness. You're more inclined to listen actively because you're not constantly bracing yourself for criticism.
That makes sense. If I'm already telling myself I'm not good enough, or that I'm going to mess up, I'm probably going to interpret everything someone else says through that same negative filter. I might assume they're judging me, even if they're not.
You've hit on a key point, Lisa. That internal dialogue acts as a lens. When your inner voice is supportive, you see clearer. This leads to healthier communication, where you can express your needs and feelings more directly and honestly. You're not clouded by the need to prove yourself or by a fear of rejection.
So, instead of saying something out of frustration, you can articulate your needs calmly because you believe they're valid.
Exactly. And this ties directly into empathy. When you practice self-compassion, remembering that everyone makes mistakes and has tough days, it becomes much easier to extend that same understanding to others. If you can forgive yourself for a misstep, you're more likely to forgive someone else.
Ah, I see. It's like building that muscle of compassion for yourself, and then you can use it on others. If I'm constantly beating myself up, how can I possibly be understanding when someone else is struggling?
That's a great way to put it. This increased empathy naturally leads to stronger, more resilient connections. People feel more seen, heard, and understood when they interact with someone who has a balanced and positive inner dialogue. They feel safer opening up.
This is all about projecting that newfound self-assurance, isn't it? It's not about being arrogant, but about having a quiet confidence that comes from within.
Absolutely. When you've worked on your self-talk and have a more positive internal narrative, you naturally stand a little taller, speak a little clearer, and your presence becomes more grounding. This isn't about arrogance. It's about self-acceptance. And that self-acceptance removes the need for external validation, which can make you a more stable and reliable presence for others.
And what about setting boundaries? That used to be so difficult for me. I'd always feel guilty.
Boundaries are so crucial for healthy relationships, and your self-talk plays a massive role here. When you believe you deserve respect and kindness, setting boundaries becomes a matter of self-preservation, not selfishness. Your internal voice tells you it's okay to say no, or what I need is important too.
So, if my inner voice is constantly telling me I need to please everyone, I'll struggle to set boundaries. But if my inner voice says, my well being matters, then saying no feels natural and right.
Precisely. It stops being a battle against your own guilt and starts being a clear statement of your needs, backed by your belief in your own worth. This allows you to maintain healthy relationships without feeling drained or resentful. Think of it as protecting your energy. If you're constantly giving away too much because you can't say no, you'll end up depleted.
This is fantastic. So, to recap, Alex, our positive self talk helps us in relationships by improving our communication, fostering empathy, building stronger connections, projecting self assurance, and enabling us to set healthy boundaries. It's like our internal transformation radiates outward.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. It's the ripple effect. Every positive shift you make within yourself creates waves of positivity that can touch everyone in your life. You become a more supportive friend, a more understanding partner, a more effective colleague. It's about making the internal external.
It's almost like this entire journey we've been on, focusing on our inner dialogue, has been preparing us for this broader impact. We've been building up our own positive inner world, and now the episode is about how that world naturally spreads out.
Exactly. Imagine the cumulative effect. If you work on your self-talk, and your partner works on theirs, and your friends work on theirs, you create a whole network of more positive, empathetic, and understanding interactions. It becomes a virtuous cycle.
It really is a change that impacts everything. It's not just about feeling better about ourselves, but about contributing to a more positive environment for everyone we interact with.
Absolutely. It proves that our internal world has real power, not just for our own happiness, but for the health and strength of our connections with others. Mastering your self-talk isn't just a personal journey. It's a gift you give to your relationships.
Thank you, Alex. This has been a powerful reminder of how interconnected we are and how integral our inner work is to our outer world.
Next episode, we'll explore how positive self-talk can unlock your peak performance in all areas of life. Thanks for listening. Welcome back to Master Your Self-Talk. In our last episode, we explored the significant impact our inner voice has on our relationships. Today, we're diving into what might be one of the most exciting applications of positive self-talk, achieving peak performance.
Peak performance. That sounds incredible, Alex. So, we've spent 10 episodes learning to manage our inner critic, reframe negative thoughts, build confidence, and even improve our connections with others. How do these skills directly translate into doing our best work, whether that's at our jobs, in our hobbies, or in any personal pursuit?
That's the million-dollar question, Lisa. Think about it this way. Your self-talk is the constant soundtrack to your actions. When that soundtrack is filled with doubt, criticism, and fear, it's incredibly hard to focus, be creative, or push through challenges. It's like trying to run a marathon with someone whispering discouraging things in your ear the entire time.
Oh, I can absolutely relate to that. I've definitely been there, feeling paralyzed by my own thoughts before even starting a task. So, is the first step to peak performance simply stopping the negative soundtrack?
Exactly. We've learned how to do that through reframing and compassionate listening to our inner critic. But for peak performance, it's not just about quieting the negative. It's about actively amplifying the positive. It's about cultivating an inner voice that truly empowers you. Imagine replacing the discouraging whisper with a confident, encouraging cheer, someone who believes in your ability to succeed.
That's a powerful image. So, what does that empowered, positive inner voice sound like when we're trying to achieve something challenging?
It sounds like encouragement. Instead of thinking, I'm going to mess this up, it's thinking, I'm capable of learning this, and even if I stumble, I can recover. It's about focusing on the process and your ability to handle whatever comes your way. We're talking about boosting focus, enhancing creativity and supercharging our problem-solving skills.
Let's break that down. How does positive self-talk specifically improve focus?
When we're constantly battling negative thoughts, a significant chunk of our mental energy is spent on that internal conflict. This drains our cognitive resources and makes it hard to concentrate on the task at hand. Positive self-talk, on the other hand, frees up that mental energy. It allows us to direct our attention more effectively. Think of it like clearing a cluttered desk. Once the clutter is gone, you can clearly see and work with what's on the surface.
So, by being kinder and more encouraging to ourselves, we're actually making our brains more available to do the work?
Precisely. And it's not just about focus. It's also a significant driver of creativity. When you feel safe and supported by your own inner voice, you're more willing to take risks, to explore unconventional ideas, and to experiment. Fear of judgment, even self-judgment, is a major creativity killer. Positive self-talk creates an internal environment where experimentation is not only tolerated but encouraged.
That makes so much sense. I've noticed that when I'm feeling self-critical, my ideas tend to be very safe and predictable. But when I'm feeling confident, my thoughts start to flow more freely.
Exactly. And this confident, clear state of mind is also crucial for effective problem solving. When faced with a difficult problem, a negative inner voice might immediately jump to, "This is too hard," or "I don't have the skills to fix this." But a positively tuned inner voice will approach it with curiosity and determination, saying, "Okay, this is a challenge. What are the different angles? What steps can I take?" It promotes a solution-oriented mindset rather than a problem avoidance one.
So, we've talked about the what, the benefits of positive self-talk for focus, creativity, and problem solving. Now, let's get into the how. How can we actively use the principles we've learned, like reframing and affirmations, to achieve this peak performance?
Great question. Let's start with reframing. Imagine you have a big presentation coming up. Your old self-talk might be, "I'm going to mess this up." Through reframing, you can shift that to, "I'm feeling excited about sharing my ideas and I'm prepared. If I momentarily pause, I can gather my thoughts." It's about shifting the narrative from fear of failure to confidence in preparation and resilience. This subtle shift changes the entire emotional and mental experience.
That's a fantastic example. It's not denying the nervousness, but acknowledging it and then redirecting the focus to the preparedness and ability to handle it.
Exactly. And affirmations play a crucial role here too. We've discussed crafting affirmations throughout this series. For peak performance, consider affirmations that reinforce your capability and your commitment. For example, "I have the focus and dedication to achieve my goals," or "My creative mind is constantly generating innovative solutions." Repeating these affirmations, especially before or during demanding tasks, can reinforce those empowering beliefs.
So, it's about consciously choosing the thoughts that will support you in performing at your best. It's like coaching yourself for success.
You've got it. It's proactive self-coaching. And it's not just about the big, daunting tasks. It applies to every element of your life. Think about your daily commute, your workout routine, or even a challenging conversation you need to have. A positive inner dialogue can transform these moments from sources of stress into opportunities for growth and accomplishment.
It really sounds like mastering our self-talk is the foundation for a more successful and fulfilling life in all aspects.
Absolutely. It's about internalizing the awareness we've built and consistently applying those tools. Remember the concepts of small wins we discussed in episode 6? Applying positive self-talk to achieve those small wins builds momentum. Each time you successfully reframe a doubt or reinforce a positive belief, you're building your confidence blueprint and strengthening your ability to perform at a higher level. It's a compounding effect.
And this is where the journaling from episode 7 can be particularly helpful, right? Documenting those wins and the self-talk that accompanied them.
You're connecting the dots perfectly, Lisa. Journaling allows us to see the patterns of our inner dialogue and to witness how our self-talk directly impacts our performance. By reviewing your journal, you can identify which affirmations are most effective for you, which reframes lead to better outcomes, and where you might still be slipping into old habits. It's a feedback loop for continuous improvement.
So, to summarize for our listeners, applying positive self-talk for peak performance involves actively replacing negative self-criticism with empowering, encouraging statements, using reframing to shift from fear-based thinking to solution-oriented thinking, and employing affirmations to reinforce belief in our capabilities. This, in turn, boosts focus, unlocks creativity, and enhances our problem-solving abilities, ultimately allowing us to achieve more and feel better doing it.
Exactly, Lisa. It's about taking the skills we've honed and applying them with intention to elevate every aspect of our lives. It transforms challenges into opportunities and empowers us to reach our highest potential.
So, we've covered so much ground in this series, from the very basics of understanding our inner critic to how we can use positive self-talk to excel in our careers and lives.
We have indeed. And next time, we'll be bringing all these powerful concepts together into one final episode, weaving together all the threads of your journey to mastering your self-talk for lasting change.
I'm really looking forward to that.
Me too. Next episode, the lifelong practice sustaining your powerful inner voice. Welcome back to Master Your Self-Talk. This is Alex.
Hello, everyone. We've reached the final episode of our journey. It's episode 12, and we're talking about the lifelong practice of sustaining our powerful inner voice.
That's right, Lisa. We've covered so much ground in this series. We started by unmasking our self-talk, understanding it as a silent architect shaping our reality. Remember episode 1, where we learned how our thoughts can build us up or tear us down.
Absolutely. We explored the shadow side, recognizing those negative patterns that can creep in, and then we learned to become compassionate listeners to our inner critic, transforming it from a saboteur into a guide.
The art of reframing was a big one, wasn't it? Turning can't into can and seeing challenges not as roadblocks, but as opportunities. And who could forget finding our motivational core, our why, in episode 5? That's the fuel that keeps us going.
Building our confidence blueprint was so practical. It was all about celebrating those small wins that accumulate into significant self-assurance. And journaling, episode 7, provided a tangible way to document our inner dialogue and track our progress.
Affirmation Alchemy then helped us craft those powerful, positive mantras. We learned how to create our own encouraging narratives, replacing doubt with belief. But we also know that the old voice sometimes fights back, and episode 9 armed us with strategies to overcome those familiar obstacles.
That's crucial, because self-talk doesn't just affect us individually. We saw the ripple effect it has on our relationships in episode 10, learning how positive self-talk can lead to healthier, more empathetic connections with others.
And to cap off our deep dives, episode 11 showed us how mastering our self-talk can unlock peak performance. When we believe in ourselves, our capabilities soar.
It truly has been a comprehensive journey from awareness to active transformation. So, Alex, as we stand here at the end of the series, how do we ensure all of this doesn't just fade away? How do we make this a lifelong practice?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The key is understanding that self-mastery isn't a destination. It's an ongoing, evolving journey. Think of it like tending a garden. You can't just plant the seeds and expect a bountiful harvest without continuous care. You need to water, weed, and nurture. Our positive self-talk is very much the same.
So, it's about consistent effort and awareness, even when we think we've got it down.
Precisely. The first step in sustaining this is, and always will be, awareness. You become so adept at recognizing your inner voice at this stage. I want you to continue practicing that mindfulness. When you notice a thought, pause. Just observe it without immediate judgment. Ask yourself, is this thought serving me? Is it true? Is it kind? This simple pause is incredibly powerful.
That's a great reminder. It's easy to slip back into autopilot when life gets busy. So, maintaining that conscious pause is the foundation. What else?
The second pillar is continued practice of the techniques we've learned. Don't let your reframing muscles atrophy. Keep challenging those negative thoughts. Keep journaling, even if it's just a few sentences a day. Keep reciting your affirmations. These aren't just exercises, they're the daily maintenance for your inner world. Imagine you're strengthening a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. If you stop, it weakens.
So, it's about integration into our daily routines, making these practices as natural as brushing our teeth.
Exactly. And speaking of integration, let's talk about embracing setbacks. We've all had days or even weeks where the old negative voice seems to roar back. This is normal. It doesn't mean you've failed or undone all your progress. It means you're human. The crucial difference now is how you respond to these moments. Instead of getting discouraged, view them as valuable feedback. What triggered the resurgence of that old voice? Can you apply one of the strategies we discussed in episode 9 to navigate it with more grace?
That's such a relief to hear. It's easy to feel like a failure if a negative thought pops up after we've worked so hard. Knowing that setbacks are part of the process is incredibly encouraging.
They absolutely are. Think of it like learning to ride a bike. You wobble, you might fall, but each time you get back up, you learn a bit more about balance and steering. The falls don't negate the progress you're making towards riding smoothly. Your journey with self-talk is similar. Each perceived fall is an opportunity to learn and refine your approach.
So, setbacks are learning opportunities, not failures. I like that. What's the next aspect of lifelong practice?
It's about surrounding yourself with a supportive environment. This could mean sharing your journey with a trusted friend, a partner, or even joining a community that focuses on personal growth. Having allies who understand and encourage your efforts can make a significant difference. Remember, we talked about the ripple effect in relationships? This is a prime example of how positive connections can reinforce your own positive inner dialogue.
That makes perfect sense. Having others who are also committed to personal growth can create a positive feedback loop.
Indeed. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, cultivate self-compassion. This has been a thread throughout our entire series, but it bears repeating in the context of lifelong practice. Be patient with yourself. Celebrate your journey. Acknowledge how far you've come. When you treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a dear friend, sustaining a positive inner voice becomes not a chore, but a natural expression of self-love.
Self-compassion. That's a beautiful way to frame it, Alex. It's about being your own best friend, not your harshest critic, even when you're working on your inner dialogue.
Exactly. So, to recap our roadmap for lifelong practice, continue to cultivate awareness with mindful pauses. Consistently integrate the core techniques into your daily life. Embrace setbacks as learning opportunities, not failures. Seek and nurture a supportive environment. And always practice self-compassion.
It's a holistic approach. It's not just about changing words, but changing our entire relationship with ourselves.
That's a perfect way to put it, Lisa. This series has been about empowering you to become the conscious architect of your inner world. The tools and insights we've shared are now yours to wield. Remember that your inner voice is your constant companion. By mastering your self-talk, you are fundamentally changing your life for the better, one thought at a time.
It's been an incredible journey with you, Alex, and with all our listeners. We've gone from understanding the silent architect within to embracing the lifelong practice of a powerful, positive inner voice.
And that brings us to the end of episode 12 and the end of the Master Your Self-Talk, Change Voice Change Life series. Thank you all for joining us on this transformative journey.
It has been an absolute pleasure sharing these insights with everyone.
To all our listeners, keep practicing, keep growing, and keep nurturing that magnificent inner voice. Thanks for listening to the series.